All right, so episode 7 of RWBY, it's the Emerald Forest Part 2. I really enjoyed this episode actually for the fact that it showed all of the different characters aside from Lai Ren, who we found out it's Lai and not Lee. At least I assumed it was Lee Ren and obviously not Lai because I called him Lee in the other episodes. But aside from Ren and Nora, we really get to see all of the main characters, and we even get to see Dr. Ozpin and Glenda Goodwitch as they talk about the characters. And one of the most interesting aspects of the episode is something that Glenda says, and it's when she's talking about Jean, and she says, I don't really care what his transcripts say, he's not ready for battle. And that makes me very curious as to what he went through in the past and how he's so good when we've only really seen him as the bumbling silly character that we see, which of course we see more of in this episode. But based on that line, before he joined Beacon Academy, Jean was a really good student. He might be really silly and stuff and kind of stupid, but he's good at the task. At least he might not be exactly knowing about the task, but he can accomplish the task very well. So it's interesting, that they put that line into this episode, or just into the series in general, to show that Jean, he does have some skills, or at least, he's able to do some of the most basic things. We just haven't really seen him do some of the simple tasks that he's been able to excel at. Obviously, with him fighting monsters and stuff, he might be used to simple things like target practice or just a regular strength-based tasks, things like that. So, hopefully in the episodes to come, we'll get to really see him excel, even though even if it is at some of the more basic concepts when everyone else is, like fighting monsters and stuff, and he's just able to do something pretty simple. Another thing I enjoyed, like I said, they showed pretty much all the other teams. The conversation between Weiss and RWBY, I really loved because, RWBY in the last couple episodes, pretty much since she met Weiss, so pretty much every episode, she's been trying to, be friends with Weiss because she just has Yang, she just has her sister and, Jean, and she's trying to, make friends and get to know new people. And Weiss just pretty much hates her after after the first meeting. She just hated her through every episode, and it just continues into this one. And we really see that RWBY's kind of done, taking her crap. And it starts off with her just sitting there on the ground as Weiss is walking back and forth, acting like she knows what she's doing. And like I like how she says, like, just admit that you don't know where we're going. And then Weiss says, you don't either. And she says, well, at least I'm not, trying to be a know-it-all. And then, they have the argument. And my favorite part of it is, like, the very end when Weiss says that, she says, I'm not perfect, but I'm leagues better than you. And when she's walking her way, RWBY says, you don't even know me. And, she just gets, like, a sad look on her face. And I really like that because it shows, just how they interact with each other. Weiss thinks she really knows RWBY based on, like, one little accident that she had when she didn't know what dust was, which she may have, but when someone's yelling at you, you generally kind of, sometimes you kind of go blank, especially when it's like a random person you've never met before and they're just like yelling at you because you bumped into their stuff. But it kind of shows how she's just like tired of not being able to make at least one friend, like the one person she's really trying to befriend, or she kind of has to befriend, is the one thing she just can't seem to do is just interact with this one girl. And then it goes back and forth between the three groups, and then we get, of course, Yang and Blake, who are like the super awesome dynamic duo. And like they're just like walking through no problems. Yang says something, Blake says nothing, and then they find the relics, they get a piece. And something that I thought was interesting, it was like a really little thing, but Blake did smile when Yang picked up like the knight. I was about to say the horsey because she calls it a pony, but when Yang picks up the knight and she's like, how about a nice little pony? And Blake's like, sure, but she smiles after she says that. And like she does these very little subtle moments, subtle things like that, and it shows that she's not exactly just cold and calculating. She's just she's calculating, but she's not just like distant from every single person. She can interact with people if they're okay to her. So, obviously with episodes to come, she'll interact with the rest of the girls and maybe even Jean and Pyrrha and Ren and Nora too, just because they're main characters. But they get their relic, and then of course it goes to Pyrrha and Jean going through the cave, and of course with every episode Jean has this hilarious moment. And so they find this random cave, and there are paintings. If you watch the episode again, there are paintings on the wall that show the giant scorpion that's in the cave. So there are people, and then there's like just cave drawings. And so they go through the cave, and I love when Pyrrha's like, I don't think this is the temple, or she's like, I don't think this is it. And he's like, Pyrrha, I made the torch. Can you at least indulge me for like 5 more feet? Then he falls in water, of course. And then they find this glowing thing inside the cave, and Jean finally grabs it, and it turns out to be a scorpion. And my favorite thing is when he screams, Yang and Blake can hear it, and Yang is instantly like, a woman's in trouble, and that was like the funniest thing to me. But what happened like right after that really caught my attention, and it's that Blake was pretty much wide-eyed after that moment, and she like obviously she says nothing most of the time, but you can see she was kind of in shock because of the screen. And just based off of her being a ninja-based character, I could instantly just assume that it has something to do with her losing family or things like that, because that's how ninja characters are in a lot of different things. They lose family members because you're a ninja. You kind of get, it's kind of like being drafted, but you're drafted because everyone died. So I think that's kind of why she kind of freaked out at the end there. When she heard the scream, even though it was Jean sounding like a girl, it could have reminded her of like her mother or sister or anyone she might have known in the past, dying in front of her, or just dying in general, and she heard it. So I'm curious to see how that'll play out if they do it, in the next episode, which I hope they do, because like I said, it really stood out to me, because she's normally so calm, and then she just was kind of like wide-eyed, and her mouth was open a little, and she's just stunned. So I'm curious to see how that really plays out. We might not get an answer in the next episode or anything like that, but hopefully it'll play into the episode where she's not exactly as cool and powerful as we've seen her in the trailer, and she's kind of distraught and distracted and things like that. I guess just those two things really. And she can't exactly pull off what she needs to pull off to defeat this giant scorpion. And then the episode ends with Ruby kind of falling down. So whatever happened between Ruby and Weiss, I would assume they're both at the temple, and they were either fighting each other or fighting something else, and Ruby was tossed through the air. But I'm gonna go with Ruby and Weiss ended up fighting, and somehow Ruby like just went over a cliff or something. So the episode ends there, and I'm definitely excited for next episode. Another little thing, Pyrrha like shot off from the giant scorpion after Jean got like flicked through the air. She like took off. I thought she was gonna fight, because she seems like a really cool, powerful character, and she was just like, nope, and just took off. So I thought that was kind of funny too. It was sort of a twist to me, for her character, because she just seemed like that powerful character, and it seemed to work perfectly to contrast, Jean being the super weak character. But they're both pretty similar. Like obviously she's really powerful, but I think she just has that thought process like, I could probably do this, but I'm not, she's not Yang, where Yang would probably be like super cocky and like yell at the scorpion and try to beat it up. She's more like, I don't want to do this, and she takes off. So I like that. And obviously, comment below, let me know what you thought of the episode. What do you think? We finally got a little bit more, Glenda Goodwitch and Dr. Ozpin, but not really much from Dr. Ozpin. He didn't really say anything. But, from Glenda Goodwitch, we kind of get to see her attitude a little bit more. She kind of, like, I feel like she was really sort of, lining the characters up. Like, obviously this person's great. This person kind of sucks, though. And, it's kind of interesting how she seems really calculating to me as far as who she assumes will be, really powerful and things like that. So comment below, let me know what you thought of the episode. Like I said, more on Glenda Goodwitch, and just, the little bit that we got to see this week, and tell me what you think might be coming up next week. Thanks for watching.